Can you believe it? At the bottom of the Mariana Trench, where the pressure is intense enough to crush an entire carrier fleet into scrap metal, life still rises in defiance through aluminum armor and alien-like chemistry. This is a realm of merciless shadow, a place so hostile that even the most brilliant minds at NASA tremble when attempting to decode the terrifying secrets buried beneath millions of years of history. If you were to stand on Mount Everest, the highest point on Earth, you would feel as though the entire planet shrinks and submits beneath your feet within the thin clouds. But now, imagine a wild scenario that nature secretly arranged at the dawn of time. You lift the entire massive Himalayan range, flip it upside down, and drop it straight into the vast sea near Guam. You would realize with a shock that even when the proudest peak of Everest touches the deepest floor, there are still over 2,000 meters of thick, heavy water above it before reaching the sunlit surface. Welcome back to Planet Expedition. Our journey today does not look toward the boundless sky but dives deep into the true terminal point of the blue planet. That point is the Mariana Trench, a gaping, silent scar on the Earth's crust. This is where every ordinary law of physics you ever learned is ruthlessly broken, where pressure is so immense it can turn a thick slab of steel into a crumpled piece of paper in a millisecond. If you possessed satellite vision that could pierce through kilometers of dense water, you would see that Mariana is not a soulless geological crack. Instead, it appears as a giant crescent, grinning mockingly in the heart of the Pacific. Stretching over 2,500 kilometers, if we placed this trench on land, it would be 1.5 times longer than many major coastlines. If you treated this as a highway, you would have to drive continuously for over a day at high speed just to reach the end of this kingdom of darkness. The map of this Dead Sea is actually the boundary of a dance with destiny between two massive tectonic plates, the ancient Pacific Plate and the younger Philippine Plate. In that collision zone, the Earth's crust is bent, crushed, and dragged down to the very edge of the void. Within Mariana lies a core even deeper and more daunting, known as the Challenger Deep. This name originates from the HMS Challenger in 1875, when the first sailors dropped a weighted line here and watched in disbelief as the rope unspooled endlessly into what they were certain was the bottomless abyss of the planet. Scientists call this place by a haunting name, the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the god who rules the underworld in Greek mythology. Here, sunlight is a luxury of the distant past, giving way to thick shadows and bone-chilling cold, a world completely severed from the biological cycles we know. If you were to drop a stone into the Mariana Trench, that stone would take about an hour of continuous falling just to reach the bottom. During those 60 lonely minutes, it would pass through layers of water with pressure increasing every second, crossing violent underwater currents before finally resting forever in the slimy mud of the Hadal realm. Mariana is not just a hole, it is a grand recycling plant of nature, where old parts of the oceanic crust are swallowed into the mantle to prepare for a new beginning for the planet. Brace yourself, because the deeper we go, the more you will realize that Mariana does not just hold darkness, it guards secrets about the origin of life that humanity is not yet ready to face. Before we continue diving deeper into the waters where pressure can crush any human ambition, I have a small question for you to ponder. In your opinion, what is more terrifying for mankind? Option A, the unnamed giant entities hiding in the eternal darkness of the Mariana Trench, or Option B, the absolute silence and the soul-piercing loneliness of a world that never sees the sun. Leave a comment with your answer, A or B, down below. Planet Expedition truly wants to know your perspective on the greatest fear at the deepest point of this planet. When your stone finally touches the eternal mud after an hour of freefall, it hasn't just hit the bottom, it has completed a journey through the heavy death sentences that nature has imposed here. Leaving behind the faint glimmer of the surface, we enter a realm where the concepts of space and matter are warped to the extreme, where the crushing power of pressure and temperature paradoxes begin to write the most terrifying chapters of existence. The massive volume of water pressing down on the Mariana Trench is a figure far beyond human imagination, a thick column of water creating a weight of billions of tons, acting like a giant noose tightening around every geological activity below. At the bottom of the Challenger Deep, pressure reaches over 1,000 atmospheres, equivalent to enduring the weight of nearly 8 tons on every square inch of your body. To visualize this brutality, imagine lying on the ground with a massive aircraft carrier, fully loaded with fighter jets and weapons, placed directly on top of your head. At that pressure, every air-filled cavity, from fragile lungs to the inner ear, would be flattened instantly in less than a millisecond, leaving no room for pain, only a total disappearance into the void. Even the most reinforced steel spheres, designed by the greatest engineering minds, must bow before the power of Mariana. During field expeditions, scientists often perform a small but haunting experiment. They take hard plastic cups down to the deep, and when they pull them back to the surface, those cups have been compressed and deformed into the size of a small ring. Therefore, to build submersibles that can protect human life, engineers must turn to specialized steel and titanium of extreme thickness, calculated to the micrometer. At this depth, a crack as small as a hair on the hull is not just a technical flaw, it is an irreversible tragedy. Water from the outside would jet in with the speed and power of a cannonball, cutting through any obstacle in its path before the entire structure explodes into 100 pieces in a silent roar beneath the deep. There is a strange fact that physicists still marvel at. Water is considered an incompressible liquid, yet under the terrifying pressure at 11,000 meters, water molecules are squeezed so tightly that their volume shrinks by about 5%. 5% might sound modest, but imagine a hypothetical scenario where if the pressure at the bottom of Mariana suddenly vanished, the entire sea level on the planet would rise by dozens of meters in an instant as that massive volume of water suddenly expanded back to its original state. Crossing the threshold of 1,000-ton pressure, we continue to face a magical temperature paradox in the eternal dark. At the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the laws of thermodynamics we learned in school seem to be thrown out the window to make room for a different reality. Most of the water in the trench hovers between 1 and 4 degrees Celsius, a piercing cold that seeps into the marrow, just barely above freezing thanks to the high salt concentration and extreme pressure lowering the freezing point. Yet, in the middle of that gloomy and frozen space, there exist areas where the temperature can suddenly spike to 400 degrees Celsius, creating a madness of thermal contrast. These are the hydrothermal vents, also known as the mysterious black smokers. Here, seawater seeps through deep cracks in the Earth's crust, is heated by the burning magma beneath the mantle, and then jets back into the ocean. Why does water at 400 degrees Celsius, hotter than molten lead, never boil? The answer lies in that terrifying pressure. At this depth, the pressure is so great that it prevents water molecules from turning into steam, forcing them to exist in a supercritical state, a form of matter that is a hybrid between liquid and gas. This state gives water a terrifying ability to dissolve minerals, creating black plumes of smoke erupting into the freezing water without a single air bubble appearing. This is a surreal sight, like a painting of the underworld in the heart of the sea, where liquid sulfur can erupt instead of lava. It is at these junctions between deadly cold and hellish heat that chemistry begins to change its nature. Molecules are squeezed until their viscosity and bonding properties transform into something alien, opening a completely new chapter for adaptive life that challenges all our understanding of the limits of existence on this planet. From those scorching waters and chemical-heavy plumes, a miracle occurred. Instead of fading away, life chose to evolve into the most magnificent entities nature ever molded. If you have always believed that where there is no sunlight, there is no hope, Mariana is the ultimate rebuttal, proving that life does not need warm rays to begin. It only needs a resilient will to adapt. On the surface world, we live through photosynthesis, but in the kingdom of Hades, life is driven by a completely different mechanism called chemosynthesis. These bacterial communities do not need green leaves. They consume active substances like hydrogen sulfide and methane erupting from the ground to create energy, building a completely independent food chain. As if a separate planet were existing inside the Earth. Imagine a dark scenario where the sun suddenly disappears and every creature on the surface perishes in an instant. The inhabitants of Mariana might not even notice anything changed, for their kingdom has been lit by the silent chemical fires of millions of years. In that eternal darkness, we encounter the king of impossible depths, the Mariana snailfish. To the eye, this fish looks incredibly fragile with pale, translucent skin so clear you can see every internal organ and blood vessel, but do not let that weak appearance deceive you. They live comfortably at depths of over 8,000 meters, where pressure could crush diamonds, thanks to a secret weapon called piezolyte. This is a special molecule that acts like a cellular-level support frame, preventing protein membranes from collapsing under 1,000-ton stress. Unlike fish in shallow waters with brittle hard bones, the snailfish chooses to compromise with pressure using a skeleton made entirely of flexible cartilage, allowing its soft body to lean into the weight of the water instead of foolishly standing against it. Evolution at Mariana goes further than anything we could imagine in science fiction movies, with the appearance of creatures wearing aluminum armor and giant single-celled organisms. Consider the amphipods, armored scavengers that look like shrimp but can grow up to 30 centimeters long. At this depth, calcium carbonate, the main component of ordinary shells, would dissolve instantly due to high acid levels and pressure, but the amphipods at Mariana have made a stunning biological breakthrough. They extract aluminum from the seabed mud to reinforce their shells. They are truly wearing biological metal armor, an achievement of natural engineering to survive under the weight of millions of tons of water. Alongside them are the xenophyophores, giant single-celled monsters the size of a dinner plate, something we usually only see through a microscope, now existing right there at the bottom of the abyss. These strange entities are not just hosts for thousands of other microbes but possess a supreme ability to resist toxins, absorbing lead, mercury, and even uranium from the seawater without harm. To survive in absolute darkness, creatures here also use light as a weapon or a language of communication through bioluminescence. Many species possess a brilliant red color, which is the first color absorbed and vanished by seawater as it goes deep, making them completely invisible to predators. A faint blink in the dark at Mariana could be a sweet invitation to mate, but it could also be a death message from a predator lying in wait. The nutrition feeding this strange kingdom does not come from light, but from deaths in the layers above through the phenomenon of whale falls. When a giant whale ends its journey and sinks into the Mariana Trench, its carcass becomes a massive feast, a nutrient oasis providing life for an entire ecosystem for nearly a century. From large fish to tiny bacteria, all join the dance of rebirth, where the death of a giant on the surface is the brilliant beginning for billions of souls in the oceanic underworld. All these insane adaptation mechanisms, from aluminum armor to cartilage frames and chemical eating abilities, have turned Mariana into the purest evolutionary laboratory on the planet, where life redefines itself to overcome limits that humans once thought impossible. But between these silent survival feasts of armored monsters and transparent fish, Mariana is not just a silent graveyard or an isolated biological lab, it is also a theater of chaotic sounds, holding haunting echoes of human history. Have you ever wondered what sound is like at the deepest point of the world? Would it be as still as a cold grave, or actually as loud as a massive construction site? In 2015, a bold experiment was conducted when scientists dropped a titanium-encased recorder to the bottom and left it there for 3 weeks. The results shocked the scientific world. Mariana is not quiet at all, on the contrary, it is a hub for the most powerful vibrations from across the planet. Due to the physical properties of water at extreme pressure, sound travels farther and faster than in air, turning this deep trench into a global relay station, recording the low groans of earthquakes halfway across the world, the roar of violent storms on the surface, and the loud engines of massive cargo ships moving miles away. Amidst the chaotic geological noise and the white noise of deep currents, the recorder also captured poetic and lonely sounds, the low-frequency songs of blue whales and fin whales. These giant creatures, of course, can never dive into Mariana because their lungs would explode instantly, but their songs pierce through 11,000 meters of water to reach the trench floor, echoing in the eternal dark like messages from a world of light sent down to the underworld. This intersection of sound creates a strange symphony, reminding us that Earth is always vibrant and its heartbeat exists even in places where humans once believed life could not survive. The journey to find those echoes is also the history of the bravest heroes, those who viewed going to the bottom of Mariana as a mission more spiritual than a standard expedition. To this day, the number of people who have reached the Challenger Deep is far fewer than those who have flown into space, for fighting the 1,000-ton pressure of the ocean is sometimes harder than escaping Earth's gravity. We must mention Don Walsh and Jacques Piccard, the first to make history in 1960 inside the submersible Trieste. At 11,000 meters, when a window pane cracked due to extreme pressure, they remained steadfast to prove that humans could reach the deepest point of the planet. Half a century later, director James Cameron dived here alone in the deep-sea Challenger, which he designed, describing the seabed as looking like another planet, a place with no trace of time and a loneliness that reaches the very soul. However, alongside the triumphs of conquest, modern expeditions by explorer Victor Vescovo and remotely operated robots like Nereus have exposed a heartbreaking truth. Even at the deepest point of the planet, where human footsteps have never directly touched, the scar of humanity is present in the form of plastic waste. This discovery is like a slap to our pride, as pollution has arrived before exploration. Explorer robots with mechanical arms and high-resolution screens have transmitted sharp images of a world that is both magnificent and wounded, where the sounds of nature are being mixed with artificial noise and industrial waste. Mariana does not just tell the story of human bravery in decoding geological secrets, it is a heavy reminder of our responsibility toward the last lands of purity on Earth, where echoes from the deep are slowly becoming lost in the swirl of modern civilization. Beyond the pain of plastic waste or the gloomy echoes of the ocean, Mariana is not just the end of undersea journeys, it is actually a gateway to new horizons in humanity's quest to conquer the universe. NASA is particularly interested in this trench not for ordinary geological mysteries, but because the extreme conditions here, with high pressure, eternal darkness, and fiery hydrothermal vents, are considered the perfect Earth-based analog for the oceans hidden beneath the thick ice of Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's Enceladus. What we are learning at the Challenger Deep is a priceless draft, a practical laboratory for scientists to design future space probes where life might exist in similar conditions without a single ray of sunlight. In mud samples taken from the bottom, scientists have discovered thousands of DNA sequences that do not match any known organisms on land, turning Mariana into a massive genetic library holding secret evolutionary branches that humanity is only beginning to decode. More profoundly, creatures here possess an amazing ability to repair damaged DNA quickly to combat errors caused by extreme pressure, a natural biotechnology currently being studied for medical applications, from anti-aging to treating terminal illnesses in humans. There is a controversial but compelling theory that life on Earth did not begin in shallow lakes on land, but originated right from deep hydrothermal vents like those in Mariana, where mineral-rich environments acted as a primordial soup for organic molecules to combine into the first genetic chains. Here, pressure is so great that carbon can be compressed into structures as stable as diamonds, and some bacteria have used this to create internal cell protections so durable they are unthinkable, proving that life has the ability to manipulate matter at the atomic level to adapt. The ecosystem in the Mariana Trench is like a completely isolated island, a pure evolutionary lab where species develop unique traits. At some points, the Earth's crust is strangely thin, opening a unique opportunity for us to drill deep into the mantle to understand how the planet cools or how the Earth's magnetic field is created to protect us from dangerous cosmic radiation. The greatest truth about the Mariana Trench is that after more than a century and a half of exploration, we have only seen about 1/1000th of its area, a powerful reminder that even as humans reach for distant stars, there is still a dark, vast universe full of mysteries waiting to be awakened right here on the blue planet. The journey from the sun-drenched surface to the depths of the Challenger Deep has concluded, but the echoes of its magnificence surely remain in each of our minds. The Mariana Trench is not just a number for depth or a distant name on a nautical map, it is a symbol of the absolute power and resilience of nature. In a place where steel shatters, where darkness reigns, and where bone-chilling cold meets the burning fire from the earth, life does not surrender. Instead, it chooses to redefine itself, using aluminum armor or flexible cartilage to turn 1,000-ton pressure into a part of its breath. Mariana teaches us that even in the most hostile environments, where there seems to be only death and loneliness, genetic miracles and persistent heartbeats still exist. It is a powerful parallel universe, an ancient DNA library holding the key for humanity to reach the stars or decode our own existence. The greatest lesson from the Mariana Abyss is this: pressure is not meant to crush you, but to forge a new, stronger structure. In our current lives, we constantly face thousand-ton pressures from work, finance, or relationships. Sometimes, we try to stiffen ourselves rigidly only to shatter easily before life's events. Learn from the snailfish at Mariana. Instead of fighting pressure in an extreme way, learn to adapt and keep your soul as flexible as a cartilaginous frame. When you can change your internal operating mechanism, change your mindset, and embrace challenges as an essential part of the growth process, you will realize that the hottest adversities are where you find the energy to shine most brilliantly in your own way. If you had the chance to sit in the most modern submersible to directly explore the mysterious beauty of the Mariana Trench, would you agree to venture down or choose to stay on the peaceful ground? Leave a brief comment to share your view. And if you love in-depth geographic knowledge, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to support Planet Expedition. Your companionship is the greatest motivation for us to continue producing high-quality and fascinating content. Goodbye, and see you in our upcoming journeys of discovery.